be available for questions as we go forward. We're now, we're just a minute or so into it, so we have a good number of our folks who plan to attend already online, and we have a tight schedule, so I think what we will do is we will start the webinar at this point, and if anybody cannot hear or is unable to see the screen, please type something into the chat window and we'll try and help you out. So on the call with me today from Clear Insight are a few of our key folks, myself, also Kit Chan, who runs our services division, Bob Gill, who is one of our principal architects, and Susan Malik, who is our president. And you will probably hear from each one of these other folks before our hour is up today. As we communicated to you in the invitation that you received, and for the most part, the reason each of you have joined us today is what we have on the agenda today. So this is what we hope to cover, more or less within these time frames. We'll just give a minute or two further in an introduction and an overview. Then I will walk you through the Clarity 7 outlook on the versions where we're at with IBM and what versions are coming out. A quick slide on the alternatives, but that will be covered in depth in another webinar. And then we will turn it over to Kit and Bob, who will take you through the meat of the webinar, planning your upgrade, key considerations when you're upgrading, and walk through some of the key features and benefits of the new versions of Clarity, and then lastly, a demo of the latest version of Clarity. And then we'll move into the Q&A, and we will have you done and back to your business within the hour. So for those of you who may not know who we are, a number of you on the call are clients of ours, but there's some who may not know us. We are an advanced IBM business partner focused on the business analytics space, but more so our concentration is to the Office of Finance. Our organization is made up of accountants and experts within the space for finance, dealing specifically with Clarity as a core focus for us in helping Clarity clients across North America and internationally, dealing with Cognos TM1, as well as FSR and the new Cognos Disclosure Management. And that really is our focus with many, many years of experience across those different products and helping clients who are around the world from a number of different verticals, including those verticals that you see there on the slide that we work with today. So on to the meat of the content that you signed up for. First of all, talking about the versions in Clarity that are out today. Many of you have signed up, and we appreciate some insight into what versions you do have. And if I remember correctly, we're probably about 2/3 to 75% of you are on Clarity version 5 or version 6. And as you probably well know, that the official end of support for those versions in Clarity 6 was December 31st of last year. And that's in line with IBM's standard support policies for these products. Now, I say official end of support because the good news is if you do put in a support call to IBM, they will pick up the phone and they will seek to answer your questions, but you are not going to get any kind of patches or fixes or any in-depth analysis of things if you have problems in a version 6 or 5 of Clarity. The answer will be you'll need to upgrade. So many of you may be aware of that, but the good news is if you do have to call IBM has communicated that they will take your call, but it's under the expectation that you are planning to do an upgrade. And obviously that will not last too long, but that is the case today. IBM is still investing in Clarity, and that's good news for all of us on the call today. IBM is continuing to support the product, and we'll talk about the versions in the next slide. And to support what may be some confusion out there right now, you may have heard the term IBM Clarity 7. That is actually the official name for Clarity now today. Of course, it was Clarity, then it became IBM Clarity, and now it's IBM Clarity 7, regardless of the version. That is the name that IBM has given to it. So if you hear IBM Clarity 7, it does not necessarily mean version 7, but that is the official name IBM has given to the product today. So as per the title on this slide, we're looking at IBM Clarity 7 Outlook. And there's a link that we can make available to you on the IBM website with additional discussions around the support policies on the different versions. Okay, as we move forward now and we look at what versions are available, it's important for you to consider the status of the Clarity versions that are out there today. The latest versions of Clarity are Clarity version 7.2.1 that was released in March of last year. And that has been the latest version up until around late November of last year, when IBM released Fixed Pack 1. So that version is really called Clarity 7.2.1 Fixed Pack 1. That's the whole name for that. That is the latest version available right now, and that Fixed Pack includes support for IE9, a number of minor enhancements, fixes stabilization, and one of the key elements of that Fixed Pack release is support for the Cognos TM1 OLAP cubes. So each of you on the call today using Clarity, you are either going against an S-based cube or you're going against the Microsoft OLAP cubes. This version will allow you to use your existing Clarity front-end reports and templates and point them to a TM1 cube as your data source. This provides an interim transition for you to move, if you're going to move to TM1, and for other reasons, performance, there's a number of capabilities and enhancements that may make sense to you under this Fixed Pack to leverage the TM1 cubes over S-Base or the Microsoft OLAP cubes. So the latest release today then is 7.2.1 Fixed Pack 1. We just ran a Clarity user group that some of you may have been on back a month or so ago. And we had IBM Product Management there, and they communicated to us, of course, with the standard IBM provisos and legalese and all that kind of stuff, but the indication was that they are intending to do another release in Q2 of this year, and that release will, the core element of that release is to remove the existing grid component that is in Clarity that is a Microsoft component that will no longer be supported. So they have swapped out that grid component with a new grid that will continue to be supported, and that is part of a key element of the release that's coming out Q2 of this year. Following that, on the books anyway, is an intention then to do another fixed release, patch release, whatever the case may be, in Q2 of 2014. And some of the things on the books for that are support for SQL 2012, IE10, Windows 8, and some of that. So you will notice on here that each of the releases is really, for the most part, addressing issues that would prevent you from using the product with the latest versions of operating systems, etc. That is the go-forward motion for IBM with Clarity. It's not about putting in big new enhancements and features and capabilities. It is about supporting you going forward and ensuring that Clarity will work in your environment as you upgrade them and continue to be a viable product for you. And that's really the intention. For many of you, you will be well aware, and we'll talk about this in the call, that it is a big job to get from Clarity 5 and 6 to Clarity 7 for the most part. And that's because you need to upgrade and in many cases rebuild your templates to get them to work in Clarity 7. As an FYI, IBM has communicated that once you get onto version 7, they will do everything in their power to ensure that there is never that rebuild requirement again. So that's good news once you get there. Okay, so the good news now for you is confidence that you can have and dependability upon the Clarity product. It is a product that will continue to be managed, continue to be supported by IBM to ensure it works in your environments. As of the FixPack 1 release that was put out in November, 5 years from that, says that you're going to have support till 2017. And should the Q2 2014 release go, you're good until June 2019 based on IBM's current plans. And of course, that's only true provided you continue to install the upgrades as they become available. So that is great news. There is no burning need to move away from Clarity or off Clarity, and it's something that you can leverage and support for a good number of years to come. And so that's one thing that we would like to leave you with on that. But as you see there for the record, the support is to keep the product alive, keep it going, keep it viable for you in your environment. IBM's strategic direction for financial performance management, budgeting, planning, forecasting is in the product, the IBM Cognos TM1 product, not Clarity. So the big enhancements, the big new features that will help you in the FPM space, that investment from IBM is going to go into TM1, not into Clarity. So that's something you need to be aware of for the record. Okay, so just to make sure that I have everybody awake here now, we are going to just poll the audience here. It's always interesting to see what everybody on the call has for each of you as well. So Susan's going to put out 2 questions here. The first one is going to be, what version of Clarity are you using today? And then the second question, once we've seen the answer to the first, will be, why have you not upgraded to the latest version yet? And so the poll, I think, is now open. And if you could answer that poll, that would be terrific. We are up to about 70% of you voted so far. We'll leave it open for another couple of seconds. Okay, we are at, well, we're up to about 85%, so we'll leave it at that. We'll close the poll now. And show the results. And you can see from the results there where folks are at. Very interesting. I can't see it too well myself, actually. But many of you are on the earlier versions. And so hopefully there's, this is helping you with that. Okay, so you're not quite at the latest version. Let's open up the second poll and get an understanding of why you have not upgraded yet. All right, the results are coming in here still. We're about 60%, which could be those of you who may have already upgraded, maybe are at 7. But if you're not at 7.2.1 with the Fix Pack 1, go ahead and add your vote into that. Okay, that's good. Let's close the poll up now, Susan. And interesting enough, the results are similar to what we have experienced as we work with clients. Is in many cases the issue is, of course, because it's a finance-based operation, and most of you from finance is you're too busy in finance. You've got something working. Maybe you're waiting for the to close up the year end or a quarter end and get that in the books. Sometimes it's IT, sometimes it's cost, but not so much there. And interesting as well, 26% of you say no need because of it's working fine, and that is the case often. That it is working fine. The thing you need to be aware of course, as I'm sure you are, is when it stops working, or if you do run into a problem, you are going to be stuck if you're on an older version. So that's probably why you're on the call today. Okay, let's close that up, and we'll move back to our thing. Hopefully you found that interesting. And so just my last slide before I turn it over to Kit is our Clarity. What alternatives do you have? Obviously, the first alternative is move from Clarity 5 or 6 or earlier versions of 7 to get yourself to 7.2.1 Fix Pack 1. This is really where all Clarity clients, this is valid for every one of you, provided, of course, you're up to date on your maintenance fees with IBM. You can get this at no charge, the software, and get that installed. It's valid for everybody. It will be a considerable effort for those on 5 or 6 because of the need to rebuild many of the templates, but relatively easy for those on version 7. And this is what we're going to talk about and concentrate on for the remainder of this webinar are the various details for an upgrade to the latest version of Clarity. And by all means, coming in so that we can answer them relative to that. Your second option is if you are on a previous version, before you just go ahead and say, you know what, let's just get to Clarity 7 because that's my only option. You do have options. And it depends upon your environment which way makes most sense for you. IBM has created a licensing equivalency for Clarity clients so that there is considerable license savings for you to transition from Clarity to Cognos TM1. It, of course, as we mentioned, is a strategic solution from IBM for your FPM needs. So that is a very viable option for Clarity clients. And we're going to go into greater depth on TM1 at the follow-up webinar. Your third option is valid for those of you who have a shop less than 100 users. And that is Cognos Express. Cognos Express, if you are not aware of it, really is an all-in-one financial performance management and business intelligence solution. It includes the full features of the TM1 product, to the degree that would be required by a shop less than 100 users. It's very competitively priced, and so it can give you all the new enhancements, features, capabilities of Cognos TM1, plus the additional BI, dashboarding, dynamic drill down, reporting solutions, all part of that, and could be viable for you as an upgrade path from an older version of Clarity to Cognos Express if you're less than 100. And we will go into greater depth on that in the follow-up webinar as well, and give you some demos on that. It it is not one size fits all. For many clients, going to Clarity is the best solution, makes the most sense. For some clients, it could be TM1 or Express, and it very much depends upon your needs and your situation that we are happy to help folks with. All right, I am now going to turn this over to Kit and allow Kit now to move forward with this and make Kit the presenter. Kit, you can unmute yourself and take control.
Yeah, can you bring me back to your screen and just give me control of your screen, please?
All right. There you go.
Great. Thanks, Ian. All right, good afternoon, everybody, or morning, depending on which time zone you're in. So really what I'm going to do now is just go through a couple of key concepts when you're planning an upgrade from your current Clarity environment. Right now, keep in mind that this is, some of these points are based on our experience in what we've done in the last couple of years, upgrading various clients from 6 to 7. Now, by no means is this list comprehensive, and we know that each individual companies might have unique situations, and we really won't know that until we actually understand where you're at right now. So, why upgrade? Well, there's various reasons. Most likely, you will fit in one of these 3 main reasons. As Ian said earlier, if you're on Clarity 6 or earlier, end of life. IBM is no longer supporting that, even though you can get paid support. That might be a concern to your team of whether or not you can get support going out, and of course that's a very valid reason. Perhaps you want to take advantage of features that are currently not available in your version. So maybe you've did some research and you found that in Clarity 7 or other TM1 or Express, there might be some functions of that you want to use, and you want to and it's pretty important to your budgeting planning process. You might want to do that. Or it could be that you have issues with the current version. As you know that no software is perfect. There might be a major issue in your current version that because of the discontinuing of support, IBM will no longer be fixing it in this version, and your fix might be in the latest version. There could be other reasons that you want to upgrade. For example, there might be a legal requirement that you be on a certain support software as such, and those reasons are specific to your organization. Same question, who needs to be involved? Of course, you need the honchos at the top, senior management. You really require their buy-in to ensure that this is the strategic direction you want for your company. Very important group, the IT department. You need to work with them to ensure that the platform that you're going to and the version that you're going to is in line with the IT direction, as well as understanding the timing and resources available from the IT team. You might run into certain blackout periods that will so you need their involvement. And of course, probably one of the most important groups is the end users. Because they're the actual ones using it, and you need to ensure that they're comfortable with the new product. Make sure that you get acceptance from them, and very important to get their buy-in, or else you're going to have a lot more problems on your hands. Timing, something to be considered. Basically, where in the budget cycle are you? Is this a good time to upgrade? Perhaps, depending on your calendar, whether you do a fiscal or a regular calendar. It might not be a good time to do it now. So you need to understand when it's a good time for your team to do the upgrade. perhaps it's you have quarterly reporting or year-end reporting that's coming up, so you might want to understand where everybody is, so you can time your upgrade better. Really, who's available to do your upgrade? So, you need to have the users available. You need the IT team available, etc. You need to take into account people's vacations, and anything of that nature. What are the risks involved? Downtime is probably one of the most major risks that you have to consider. Depending on how you go ahead with the upgrade, you might experience a lot or a little downtime. There's different strategies that we can discuss in terms of how you want to do it, whether you want to do it all at once or you want to do it a piece at a time. And certainly we can help you, assess your individual requirements for that. Approach. This is how you do it. That ties in with your downtime. If you want to do it all at once, you do bits and pieces, or which methodologies you want to do that. And probably, as I said earlier, your big risk is user acceptance. You can have the best system in the world, but if your users don't use it, really, then it's really no good to you. So you have to ensure that the users understand the reasons you're going to upgrade and what advantages that this upgrade will be to them in terms of their daily activities. Consider your long-term strategy. Well, what's the effect that the upgrade is going to cause in your environment? Inevitably there is going to be some delay in terms of whether it's the downtime or whether or not that you've decided that you can't do it now because of one of the reasons I stated earlier. Well, what's the cost of not upgrading? If your system is running fine now, fantastic. But if something goes wrong and it actually has a negative effect on your business, well, what's the cost of that? So that's something that you need to certainly consider. Really, where you want to go. Now, as Ian said earlier, Clarity 7. This is about Clarity 7, but we also have to be aware of your other options. Your two options here in this space are TM1 and Cognos Express. Now, if you decide to go with Clarity 7, as we indicated, it is not the IBM's strategic position for financial planning. What's going to happen after Clarity 7, if it does go away? So now it means you have to do this all over again. So you have to take that into consideration in the long run as well. Another thing that you might want to consider is to take advantage of this time to perhaps modify your current business or technical processes with regards to your budgeting. So sometimes, during the initial implementation, not everything will be working perfectly. So maybe perhaps now that you've had a chance to use the system for a couple of years, you might have done a reevaluation and, maybe you realize that, oh, I could do something better, or, perhaps you have some manual processing that you're loading data from your source that, now you want to make it more automatic. So you might, at this point in time, take advantage of this, time to add a couple of these new processes or modify your current processes to fit your current, business need better. All right, now let's talk about a couple of key considerations when you're looking at doing an upgrade. Well, first you got to figure out where you are now. That includes, what your current version is, whether you have enough, licenses to support your business, or whether or not you're actually still in compliance. Now, as Ian said earlier, for those of you who are currently on earlier versions of Clarity, the upgrade to 7 is free. However, the caveat to that is that you have to be current on your maintenance to IBM. So that's the first thing, one of the things you need to look at. And of course, current version, you have to see where you're at now and see how far you have to go up. Obviously, earlier versions, there's bigger steps to take than if you're on 7.2 and you want to go 7.2.1 FP1. Something else you might want to consider is your current hardware. Most likely, your current hardware is a couple of years old. Do you want to take this opportunity to do your upgrade, to do your hardware upgrade as well? Take advantage of some of the newer technologies available. Some that you may want to consider. This is a good time because you will experience some downtime. Well, that's another opportunity here that you may want to consider. Perhaps that you've had a really good experience with Clarity, and now it's a good time to expand into other departments. That coincides with your computer hardware. Perhaps that if you decide to expand now beyond your finance department, you may need to upgrade your hardware to support the additional users that you are expecting to be using the system. Now, this is probably a pretty important thing to consider: the number and the complexity of your templates and reports. Not all reports are created equal. Depending on what the report or template does, it could be something like very easy, showing an income statement, to a complex balance sheet or a complex variance analysis. So you really need to assess that, and that will give you and us a better idea of the amount of time that it's going to take you. As Ian said earlier, the switch to Clarity 7 from earlier version is you won't have to do a template conversion, and depending on the complexity of that, you might be able to use the conversion utility, or you might have to really redo it from scratch. Tying to that point, there could be a lot of custom code that you have been using in your earlier versions of Clarity. Now, keep in mind that because of the change that they've done in Clarity 7, not all of your custom code will convert over, and we can discuss that at a later slide of what you might need to do. But just keep that in mind that the custom code that once worked in Clarity 6 and earlier may not work in 7. So that's where the assessment of and understanding of the complexity of the templates and report come into play. More key consideration: ETL, extract, transform, and load. So you have to be aware that what is feeding Clarity and what is Clarity feeding. For the most part, that shouldn't change, but you have to be aware that that is a factor. How does that affect Clarity if at the same time your IT department is making changes to your other system? You have to be aware of how they interact with Clarity as well. This next one applies to users. So with new Clarity coming on, you will need some training, whether you go to Clarity 7 or TM1. You have to ensure that the user is aware of the changes, and you have to change them accordingly. So you will need to time that as part of your upgrade planning. Also, some of the one of the reasons is to take care of take advantage of the new functionality. Be aware of what functionality you want to use, and how you want to incorporate that into your current processes. If you're using old templates, and you want to use some new functionality, most likely that you have to recreate that template from scratch to use it, and that's probably the best course of action for that. Last but not least, the priority of deployment. Based on our experience, we really recommend that you kind of decide which templates or reports or which component you want to convert over first. That way you don't have you reduce your downtime instead of doing everything and then giving it to the users. By doing a staggered deployment like that, you will probably get a better user acceptance and get the user on board a lot faster. Okay, so I'm going to go through a couple of benefits that you receive upgrading to Clarity 7 from prior versions. First of all, the Clarity 7 front-end user interface has not changed. So you pretty much have no user training needed for them to use it. And once you get to the demonstration section, I will show you what a Clarity 7 interface looks like. I think Ian mentioned earlier, since earlier versions of Clarity, there has been significant performance improvements. This is more in the back end. With what they've done is they've actually increased the speed at which the template is rendered. Going into a little bit of technical detail, they've taken a lot of the template rendering that was being done in the front end from the browser, and they put that in the back end. So that, obviously will speed up performance. This also extends to report books. Because of performance improvement that they've done, report books now run a lot faster. According to Paul Monty of IBM, in some cases, when you run a template or a report through a report book, it actually finishes faster. They've got some scheduling improvements as well, so that's part of the report books and the business rules. And those are just some of the some of the kind of like high important or significant improvements. Now, you have better data management as well. So that means that you can now have multiple OLAP mapping on the same template. Not only can you map to multiple analysis services cubes, but you can also map to multiple cubes period. You can have an area on your template or report that points to an OLAP cube or an S-space cube, and even a TM1 cube for that matter, as well as an area to connect to a relational database. Has improved relational drill-through. I know that in earlier versions there's a problem with that, so I can tell you that that is working. I've done that myself, so it works pretty well. Now, probably one of the biggest changes that the users will see is the Clarity 7 Studio authoring tool. So this really is a brand new desktop application that replaces Template Builder. It's a standalone application. You no longer have to bring up Excel, as Excel is part of the application, but you will still be required to have Excel installed on your workstation because it uses the Excel object. Some of the feature enhancements that you'll see in Clarity 7, include the ability to use Excel name ranges. For those of you who are familiar with Excel, that can be a very powerful way of referencing a set of cells. Instead of specifying A1 to B7, you can just give it a name, and you can reference that directly in the template builder, or I should say the Clarity 7 Studio. They have enhanced block formatting on rows and columns, and those are just some of the some of the features. If you want, there's actually you can go onto the IBM website and you can do a search on Clarity 7, and you download the list of improvement or a list of release improvements in their latest version. There's also, of course, various bug fixes from earlier versions of Clarity 7. They've also restored some Clarity 6 features. Now, this really more applies to those of you who are on version before Clarity 7.2.1 and are actually on Clarity 7. I know that there has been some problems with features that were available in 6 that was not available in 7. And some of these features included, EIS reporting, so this is the S-space integration, text box page options. That's text box page options where you're allowed to enter an alphanumeric in a user entered text box, as well as custom cut, copy, and paste. This refers to the having hidden rows and columns. This is something that allows you to include or exclude any hidden rows. And probably, as I mentioned earlier, very important, support for IE9. Now, this is only available in the latest Clarity 7.2.1 Fixed Pack 1. Okay, so now what I'm going to do now is I'm going to give you a quick demo of IBM Clarity 7. So Ian, if you can, well, I'll make myself the presenter. Okay, so what you see here is a very typical server or a user desktop, though it's very much cleaner than even my desktop. It is still a browser-based system. As you can see, Clarity 7, it has not changed. Right, everything is still here. Have your administration screen, right? Security services. So for those of you with administrative access, you'll see something that's very similar. You know, modeling and workflow has not changed in 7, as well as the drop-down menus, right? So it's still based on this. You can move up along the menu. Although the report book has changed, you'll notice that the menu for report book is different. So there's a little bit of a minor learning curve for that. Right? So it looks a little bit different. So you can see, as I said, there's really no change in the user interface, so your user experience will pretty much be identical. Now, the biggest change comes in this little product here called Clarity Studio. So the latest version here is 7.2.1, Fixed Pack 1. And as you can see, it's quite a bit different from what you've been used to with Template Builder. But not all is lost. Probably the major, actually I'm going to bring up a report here I've done. So you can see here by itself, looks a little different, but it's always, you always have this Excel area here, right? And I can zoom in on that for you. As you can see, so far what you see here is, basically Clarity 6 report, but instead of Template Builder, they now have this area on the left that is really replaces Template Builder. So, and they also have it's a little bit more intuitive, more along the lines of the Microsoft interface with like the ribbon bar on top, quick toolbar here that you can customize, right? So really, they've adopted to a standard Microsoft look and feel. Now, one of the biggest advantages of this is that they've enhanced some features here. So you have a quick link to the features. As you can see, block formatting, suppression, right? Notes. Now, what they've also done is the ability for you to attach multiple OLAP maps here, as well as this is a very interesting feature for those of you who are into some advanced template building. What they've actually done is they've moved some of the back-end processes up front. So whereas once, if you have any custom scripting, you have to go into the server and make changes, they've now allowed the user to specify custom files where you want it to go, as well as the ability to execute jobs on the server. As well as macro job, you can see you can also have events. And this is probably one of the more powerful advanced Clarity tools that you can that you can have. Also, what they've done is allow you to actually look into the XML code. Now, I wouldn't recommend you going here and making changes, but for those of us who are very advanced, you can go in and make some changes here. Right. And really, that's probably the biggest change that you'll see. Now, please keep in mind that when you're planning your upgrade, budget enough time for users to learn this, and also understand that as this is a new application, there's going to be a little bit of a steeper learning curve. So don't expect your users to right away be as proficient as they were with the template builder. So keep that in mind when you're planning your upgrade and understanding how much of your usage you want to get involved. And with that, I will now pass it back over to Ian.
All right, very good. Kit, thank you very much. Yep. I will just grab this back again. And so we are pretty much right on time here now, which is fantastic for all of you involved who have meetings to go to. But we have a Q&A and then just a couple of closing points after the Q&A. So please, as Bob said, you might have seen his little clip come in there. Enter your questions in there. We'll look for them. I think there's some questions available that have come in. So I'll just turn it over to Susan, who can ask what questions have come in.
Thank you, Ian. We do have one question at this point, and that question, Bob, maybe you could answer it. How long does it take to do an upgrade?
Thanks, Susan. That's a good question. So it's probably one of the most common questions I've heard from folks. And the classic answer is it depends. But what we've seen is it really only takes a week or two to set up a new server and just copy over everything as it is. And for some folks, that gets them enough that they can run their existing templates in with the version 6 engine in Clarity 7. So it just works, ideally, after just everything's set up. And then what we can do from that point is we figure, well, which pieces do we really need to rebuild as part of using the new features and functionality in version 7. So that helps us break things down where we'll kind of prioritize the different groups of templates and reports, and that way we can really be very careful about which ones we tackle in what order, and make sure that it's more of a staged change over to using the new features and functionality in 7. So that way, if folks have the time and energy to do everything, they can do that. If they only want to do whatever scope or whatever size or capacity they have, they can do that. So anywhere from a week or two on the low side to, if you want to include in-depth training or rebuilding a large number of reports and templates, it's just one of those things where you just kind of need to prioritize what we want to get done and make some decisions around how much we want to tackle.
Thank you, Bob. No other question. Sorry, we do have a question. Do 6.2 templates and reports work in 7.2? Do you have to convert everything?
So, thanks, Susan. That's a good question. Thank you, Joe, for that question. 6.2 templates will actually run in 7.2 using the 6.2 engine, because the 6.2, and correct me if I'm wrong, but the 6.2 engine is still there. Now, the thing to note for that, though, is it will not be able to use some of the new features and functionality available in 7. So those kind of run as is. We won't be able to use Clarity Studio with them, and won't be able to make adjustments to them. So really all that does is it gives you something that will work for now, but at some point you would, if you want to make changes to that, or you want to really leverage some of the new features and functionality, you need to rebuild that template or report using the version 7 tools, Clarity Studio.
Yeah, Bob, I just want to add something. So two things for sure that we know that won't work is it's very function specific. If you have the template you're using business rules or report books on a 6 templates, those will not work in 7. So anything that you are using in report books or business rules, those will have to be recreated in 7, and you have to create new report books in 7, as well as certain custom functions. Like for example, if your templates have database read and writes, those will no longer work. You have to convert that using the advanced area that I showed you in the Clarity Studio. So those templates for sure will have to be recreated.
Thanks, Kit. That's a good point to bring up.
Yeah, but other than that, yeah, your templates will work out of the box. Now, if you have if those templates are slow in 6, well, because there's still 6 templates, they won't take advantage of the 7 performance improvements.
And the next question is, are there any browser-specific requirements in Clarity 7 similar to earlier versions?
Sure, I'll take that. Go ahead, Ken.
Right. Okay. So yeah, right now with the latest IE9 and fixed by 1 for Clarity 721, that's listed. So really, the same as the settings will be the same as what you had. They got for IE9. I know that there were some issues with the ActiveX control that was not working in 9, so now they've taken care of that. So if you're at the latest 721, IE9 will work with the settings that they tell you in the install guide.
I just want to add one last thing to that, Kit. So I know in previous versions, I want to add one last thing. On the previous versions of Clarity, I know that there were some browser-specific settings for, you have to have trusted sites. You have to kind of make sure you've got certain settings in the options for Clarity to work. A lot of those are similar, so you'll need to make sure you've set the same things. But as Kit said, it is outlined in the instructions there, and it's probably less than it was before. So nothing added to that area.
And the next question is, what training do you recommend?
All right, I will answer that one. It really depends on the type of user. If your users are very familiar with Clarity 6 and the template builder, we provide a shorter, I guess call it a delta training. So we go through teach your users how to use everything in Clarity 7 with the Studio. Now, if you have users that are never seen it before, then we recommend you go through like the full 5-day training course that we provide, which go through everything from beginning, OLAP concepts, it's how to get data and such. But since there's no change in the interface, there's no front-end training that's required.
So I see the next question there is...
the next question?
Sure, it's Bob here. I'll just read that
Bob.
one. So does EIS drill-through work for version 7.2? And so that concept of drill-through, they tried to tweak that a bit starting in version 6, where instead of having a drill-through approach, they wanted to start using, they call them linked documents. So whatever intersection someone may be looking at, you can set up a linked documents where you can see really a similar set, but maybe a different format, different layout, or what have you. So if you can produce a report where you can show that dimensionality, then you can link them from one to another. But I know that there was drill through, what we used to call drill through in version 5 and sometimes in version 6 as well. That's been changed over to linked documents. So the key there is whatever you want to show as your drill through, you need to have a report that shows that. And then when you're drilling from one spot to another, just have a linked document connection there.
Yeah, Bob, and just want to add that that is a feature in 7.2.1 Fixpack 1. You can download the release note, which outlines specifically the EIS reporting.
So next question here, is setting a page break within the Excel portion something that is being looked at or fixed for future versions? Good question. The honest answer is I don't know. Kit, do you have any insight on that one?
Yes. Based on our understanding, the next version of Clarity will no longer use the Excel object. So that Bob's saying, I don't know, it's true. We don't know where IBM is going with that right now, especially if they're going to replace the Excel object. It's really, on their timeline, what Excel or Excel-like function they are going to include in the new control. So that truly is unknown at this point in time. As far as I know, that is not fixed in this version. Now, I have not gone through all the release notes, so I don't know if this was if this was a specific PMR record. We can certainly trace that. See, if it has been reported to IBM, we can certainly trace it to see where it's at. So. Any other questions out there, Susan?
No, I think that's all the questions. Ian, did you want to wrap this up?
All right, terrific. Thank you all for your questions, and of course Kit and Bob for addressing them. Many of you may have questions still that you would like answered, and we're happy to do that. You will have automatically get an email off the webinar with some email addresses on there, so feel free to reach out if you have some other questions related to your environment. We're happy to answer those for you. So you have some next steps. You have some choices to evaluate what you're going to do next. Clearly, timing is an issue as identified in the poll earlier. Once you sort out your timing and when you're going to move, many of you are happy with version 6, but you do need to eventually get it on your radar screen and get that timing. Once you're ready, you have these three options. We spent time today on Clarity 7, latest version, and hopefully that was helpful to you. And then an upcoming webinar that we will have, we don't have a date set yet, but it will be within the coming weeks, and it will be similar to this webinar. However, we will focus instead of on Clarity, when we deal with the demos and that sort of thing, we will focus on Cognos TM1 and on Cognos Express and be able to talk to you about some of the differences and what you can see and why they are viable options for you, depending on your environment. Again, as I said earlier, it's not necessarily the right thing for everybody to switch to TM1 or Express. It all depends upon a number of things within your environment and your needs, and we're happy to help you with that. And that's really what the next slide is right here, is we're here to help you with that. So step one, make sure you look for the follow-up email, and we would love to have you join us for our second webinar. Another thing that you can consider is we do have CI Clarity Discovery, and this is a specific short little program that we do with clients where we can come in, look at your environment, talk to your business users, understand exactly what technically and from a business perspective you are dealing with in Clarity, what your needs are, and then provide you with a full analysis of that, dealing with issues with your current Clarity, performance, where you could go, what you could do with it, and what might be involved should you want to go to one of those three options. And that is an outcome of that little solution that's available for clients, and we're happy to provide some insight for you on that. The other thing, not on the slide though, is Vision. IBM Vision, a short commercial for that, is coming up in May, and specifically dealing with the FPM space for the Office of Finance. And if you have not signed up, we would encourage you to do that. We have a code where you can get up to $400 off with our code, and there's be some great sessions and insight for you there at Vision as well. So that's something else to consider. So our time is up. Thank you very much for your attendance at our webinar, and we hope you found value, and we look forward to having you join us again for our follow-up webinar in a few weeks.